Welcome back to Echo Base Network, guys. I am Nick, and I'm here with my good buddy Stone Cold Loki. How you doing, Loki?
Doing all right. How you doing, brother?
Good, good. So Coach is not here on this one. He's at home doing family stuff. So me and Loki are going to hit these. And man, there has been some crazy news going on with PlayStation, Square Enix. News dropping all over today. So we're going to get into this. So it looks like Square Enix is finally done with the PlayStation exclusivity after the profit drop. Now I'm not going to hit on this. This article comes from Forbes. I'm not going to hit this whole thing. But in its latest earnings release, Square Enix reports a profit drop of 69.7% year over year, thanks in part to MMO and mobile declines and also growing operating losses from high dev cost amortization, even if sales are up slightly. So everybody knows that, profit, they have not been making as much money as they thought they were going to be making. They've been putting out tons and tons of games that you probably never even heard of, that have kind of been pushed under the rug. What's the foam stars, or what were you? It's like
Foam Stars, Forspoken.
yeah.
Forspoken was a huge loss,
Oh,
and
that
that
was a
was a
huge loss.
more
That was a
Western developed.
diversity DEI nightmare.
That
What?
came straight from Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah, which that to give Square a little bit of a backing, they didn't create that game. They were just the producer of it. It was another studio that was kind of like a sister company of Square that actually created it. But as soon as that happened, that studio doesn't even exist anymore.
They closed it. Square
Yeah,
shuttered the
yeah,
studio and let go of
yeah,
everybody.
yep. They shut it down. And to make things even worse, also announced Square Enix is now going to be laying off employees in American and European offices. So it looks like they're going to go back to being mainly have all their operations out of Japan and greatly pull back the Western employees in offices, where a lot of this westernized woke ideology, DEI stuff comes from, because it's definitely not coming from Japan, because the Asian market doesn't really buy into that kind of thing over there.
No, they
Uh,
want nothing to do with the DEI. They want nothing to do with that. That has all come from the Western localization and development team.
Yep. And in a statement, they said, "We're grateful to the talented Square Enix team members who will be leaving us, and will support them during this transition." So they're going to be refocusing its strategy on unforgettable experiences. So a lot of those like games like Foam Stars and a lot of those games that probably a lot of people have never even heard of or even play, they're going to be cutting those up, getting rid of those, and they're going to focus more on top-notch quality gaming, and at the same time reducing their costs by doing a lot of layoffs. And this sort of thing happens when start getting into a lot of, like, Forspoken, doing a lot of the DEI stuff that nobody's interested in, or just making games just to make games. It's just like, let's just throw a bunch of stuff out there and see what sticks. That costs money. I mean, you're basically sending games out there to die. So it looks like they're starting to wake up and realize, hey, this isn't a very good strategy moving forward with this PlayStation exclusivity. Rebirth. Everybody's heard about the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales numbers, which weren't as high as what they were expecting, but also it's just on the PS5. Eventually it'll come to PC. Who knows if it'll ever make it to Xbox? I'm sure that'll be announced later this year. So Loki, quick thoughts on Square being done with Sony in the exclusive games, which I'm guessing that part 3 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake series is still going to be exclusive, because I'm guessing that those deals are probably already made, already done. I'm guessing this is probably going to be something moving forward. Do you see it that way? What are your thoughts on all this?
It is possible. We don't know what if they've made any deals about Final Fantasy VII Part 3 yet. Hopefully they have not. Hopefully they're in the process of gearing up to make the game. Hopefully they get to complete it. Hopefully they haven't signed anything over saying you get exclusivity first. When they say they're done, they're done. It needs to be on PC. It needs to be on Xbox. It needs to be on the next Nintendo console. You've got to get it out to as many players as possible. The days of exclusive console only titles need to be done and over. They cannot continue to operate like this.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense during the console wars when you had Nintendo, Sega, uh PlayStation, Xbox, but Sega doesn't even make consoles anymore. Nintendo's kind of is in its own space. Xbox is dying. Sony's kind of the last one of the big last big two, which was Xbox and Sony, because kind of Nintendo, they don't really push for that high end gaming console with high end graphics. There's no way the Switch is playing Rebirth. There's no way you're playing Rebirth on the Switch, unless they dumb it down to 720, 30 frames a second.
Well, you can do that. You can do that with Final Fantasy Remake Intermission. You can play Final Fantasy Remake Intermission on Steam's console on the handheld for Steam.
Mhm.
So you can
you
play
own.
it, and which I own, which plays flawlessly, and it looks good. It looks really good for a handheld. So you can play the remake on it. It'll be interesting to see how they get Rebirth to function on a handheld.
Look,
And Nintendo's new Switch 2, whatever you want to call it. Right now everybody's calling it the Switch 2, is slated to come out in the next year or two. So maybe we'll get a Final Fantasy remake and rebirth on whatever handheld Nintendo's going to come out with next.
yeah, and the Steam Deck, it's more powerful than the Switch is.
It is. It is much more powerful than the Switch is.
So hopefully the Switch 2 will be able to play these type games, because man, I'm going to tell you right now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, game of the year for me. I mean, is it a perfect game? No. Do I have some issues with it? Yes. But overall, I'm 305 hours in to this game. I got 2 VR missions left to do. And then I got some play log stuff to knock out. But and I bought the collector's edition, but if I was just going to buy the standard edition, just the $70 regular game, I mean, I'm getting 300 hours out of a game. I mean, that's massive. This is a massive game. Great characters. I love the characters in this game. Um, the gameplay, the game mechanics. I mean, it's awesome. I absolutely love it. And it sucks that the numbers are what they are. But when you're exclusive to Sony the way that they are, and there's not as many PS5s out there as there were PS4s when Remake came out, you're really limiting your audience there. So I think this is a good move on their part for sure.
Well, also you have to take into account that right now Sony isn't too gamer friendly, and
No.
there's been a lot of pushback, and there was a lot of damage control to do before this game released. I
Yeah.
saw thousands of people refunding their orders because of something they did with the remake game that had nothing to do with Rebirth, but people were still making up stories saying they're going to do this and they're going to cut this. They're censoring,
And
they're
that was not
changing
it.
for the American release, and that didn't happen. So there was a lot of back and forth before this game came out that you've got to take into account too. Some people probably just said, no, I'm not going to mess with it. They're done with the DEI and ESG garbage, and they're just not going to play the game anymore.
Yeah, and there was very little of that in the game. Like it was, I saw a couple few NPCs in the background, and that was pretty much it.
There's one quest that absolutely infuriated me,
Oh,
and
the
the
Chocobo
Chocobo.
one with the um
She's the definition of a Mary Sue.
yeah.
She's perfect at everything. She didn't have to train. She is the Ray version in this game. But you only have to deal with her once, and it's done. but it was really just, oh, I really
Yeah.
have to listen to this. I was born to do this. I'm perfect. I
Yeah.
didn't have to train. I just got on my chocobo and we immediately understood each other like we were one, and we would
Yeah.
race with the wind, and you're like, ugh, stop talking.
Yeah, the whole time I was doing that quest, I was just like, "Oh my god, shut up," and I could not wait for that to be over, but it was literally one quest out of over 100, you
And
know?
some of the best boss fights I've had in a decade are in this game. The fight with Odin, that's one
Oh,
of the top boss
god.
fights in the last decade. If not number one, it's one of them. That was absolutely wonderful. You have to think, you have to use your brain, and you have to understand your opponent. And it's just one of those things where, oh, well, I can't just button mash Loki, Nick. No, you can't just button mash. You have to actually use your noggin. That's one of the reasons why people love these games. Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, which were 2 and 3 for the US back when they came out. There were enemies. You had to understand their weaknesses. You had to understand how they fight, or you would lose. And we did. We lost a lot. We had to learn how to take out our opponent and use our noggins instead of just button smashing.
Yeah. But that brings me to another point, just because I think these are very similar. So X-Men 97 is a show that me and Coach were going to watch to basically trash on and point out how it's gone woke, how it's just garbage, DEI, all this crap, and how they completely ruined X-Men. And to our surprise, the show has been pretty good. So I don't know if I showed this earlier. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you know, it's 92 on meta score, user score 9.0, and the sales numbers aren't that great because of the exclusivity. X-Men 97, not as good as numbers as Rebirth, but still pretty good for a Disney Plus show. But its audience is limited also, not only by just the people that are interested in the show, but the fact that it's only on Disney Plus, which is terrible, a terrible streaming service that people are leaving in droves. You know, so like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a great game, this is a great show that is just being kind of destroyed and swept under the rug and not getting a whole lot of viewership, mainly because of its limited audience that's able to see it. Now this comes from Variety. This comes from Luminate streaming viewership. This data was compiled from December 29th through May 10th. X-Men 97 season 1, 6.8% on Disney Plus of original shows, beating out Bad Batch season 3, Renegade Nell, Ahsoka season 1, Mando, Loki, Mando season 1. So as far as the Disney Plus people go, you know, the people that are still subscribed to that crappy streaming service, which I do not watch the show on,
Me
these
neither. Me neither.
these you know, X-Men 97 is getting good reviews. It's getting good reviews. It's getting decent numbers on that streaming service. But because Marvel, the state of Marvel and the state of Disney and its streaming service, it's just not doing the numbers. It's not that huge success like a Cobra Kai or you know, some other big name show that might show up on Netflix or something. If this was on cable TV where like everybody could watch it, you know, and it was freely available to anybody, I think the numbers would be a lot better because word of mouth is huge, but it's not good enough to where people are going to go back to subscribe to Disney Plus to watch this one show.
No, I
Thoughts?
absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And with Disney coming out with their new live TV
Oh
system that
yeah.
they call
Cable service returning to the
cable,
streaming service.
they call it cable. I wonder how
Yeah.
long it took them to figure that one out. Cable. This is not going to save Disney. This is not going to save Marvel, even though it is a worthy successor to the 90s X-Men television series.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad press about this too before it came out.
Tons.
Because of Morph, because of the way Storm looked, because of rumors, because of innuendo, because of bad word of mouth, and because no one trusts Marvel to do it justice. There was a lot of bad press about this, and I guarantee you, again, there's a lot of people that just said, I'm not going to bother watching it. I'm not going to bother watching it. I'm not going to waste my time. We have seen this dance before, and this is the way it's going to end. So I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. And you know, that's a sad state because it's a good show. It is a good show. I highly recommend people watch it. If you don't want to subscribe to Disney Plus, you can watch us react to it over on our Patreon page. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to hit on here. Kind of make those comparisons between Rebirth, X-Men '97. They're kind of both in kind of a similar situation. You know, just with the viewership and the audience that's able to actually you know, either play the game or watch the show. But I want to thank Loki for joining me on this video. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're not subbed to Stone Cold Loki's Mornings of Mischief, link will be in the description below. He has a great morning show. Anything you want to close us out with, Loki?
Guys, sometimes it's okay to give things a chance. I had no intention of watching X-Men. I had a buddy call me and say, you really need to watch it. It's pretty good. I said, I will try it, but if I'm not convinced, then I don't want anything to do with it. And I'm not going to keep watching. And I tried it and I was pleasantly surprised. I don't like what they did with Morph. There was some stuff that I didn't like, but overall, it is a worthy successor. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a worthy successor to Final Fantasy VII. It's okay to give some things a shot, guys. So,
check it out if you guys haven't. Eventually, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be coming to other platforms. Remake already is on PC. You can play it on PC. But like I said, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As well, we say here, you are Echo Base Network. Till the next one, guys. We'll see y'all later.